Hello and welcome to this quick introduction to Participate Learning. And my name is Noah Geisel. I am joined today by Brad and Julie, and I will let you all introduce yourselves. Julie, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Julie Kane, and I'm Director of Research here at Participate.
And thanks, Noah. I'm Brad Spirison. I'm Director of Platform Innovation at Participate Learning.
Awesome. Both really fun sounding titles, but I guess my first question, just to jump into having it make sense to folks about what Participate Learning even is. I'm sure anybody who participates in Twitter chats has seen some of those Participate tweets kind of dropping in on their hashtag. For the folks who haven't actually taken the next step of clicking on that link, what are they missing out on? What exactly is Participate, Brad?
So Participate, as it relates to chats and Twitter chats, is a way we think that educators, teachers of all stripes can get more out of the conversation. What I mean by that is, there's a lot of information shared during a chat that sometimes is not immediately picked up on a tweet deck on twitter.com. What I'm showing here on the screen is kind of an educator client for Twitter, where we think it's important that either live or in the archives to display questions and answers in like sequential order, so you can follow along in the conversation. You can share the conversation with others and really get to what the dialogue is all about. So the moderators, participants, and then to the extent that resources are shared, whether they're apps, videos, websites, OER, etc., we think it's very important that we capture all that information, and that's how we think that collaboration is happening via Twitter. And what we're designed to do is basically make sure that if you're spending the time doing it or you want to read it after the fact, you get more out of it.
Awesome. And just so you know, you are still screen sharing there.
Yeah,
awesome.
I was
bragging earlier about my ability.
It's tough enough to hear my own voice, but seeing my own face extra, it's especially painful. So, and just anybody who was looking at that probably just saw right away that as you described, this Twitter client is a little bit different than just using participating in a Twitter chat native to Twitter or using like a tweet deck. Can you fill us in on a couple of those features there that really do make using the Participate chat client unique? I saw there that there's a tab where folks can click on questions and answers. That if they're jumping in late, they can see what questions have already been asked in sequential order. What else is really there that distinguish it?
So the resources themselves, I think, are extremely important, and that's the background. We for many years paid a lot of attention to what were the best K through 12 apps, videos, websites, and documenting that. And we realized that particularly in real time, a lot of these resources are being exchanged via Twitter. And so we're able to constantly update our database of really relevant educational tools by recognizing what's being exchanged on Twitter. So if you're using twitter.com and you see a link to a cool app or a video or a website, there's no real mechanism to curate all of that information in one place, and we do it in real time automatically for you. And then also provide a tool where you could not only see what was shared, but make your own annotations, document what was shared, share it privately with other colleagues. So you might use what you've learned in a chat as a way to incorporate, some or all of those elements into an upcoming lesson or unit.
Gotcha. And sorry, I just realized that I had my own face up on the screen instead of you there. So sorry about that, Brad. I really want to key on that curation word that you mentioned there, because a lot of us, when we're traditionally participating in Twitter chats, that the extent to which we're curating those resources is clicking a heart on it, so that maybe we'll come back to it later. But then all we have is sort of a chronological database of every heart that we've given. And so, can you talk a little bit about that resource curation, and as well as, how that marries with the archives that you mentioned?
Sure. So I think it's too heavy of a lift to expect folks to go back into everything that they've hearted on Twitter and then maybe take those resources, put them in a spreadsheet or whatever. And like once you do that, you don't have that much time to actually dive into the resources themselves. So we take that process and make it immediate, show you the icon, show you whatever metadata has been associated with it. We'll automatically create that alongside the transcript that you're talking about. So at the end of any Twitter chat on Participate, and at this point there are hundreds, we will send a link to that hashtag with a transcript available immediately, or within a minute of the end of the chat. So once the chat is over, if you've attended it and you want to go back, or if you want to share it with others, or again, click into an additional collection of resources derived from that transcript in conversation, we make all of that instantly available, instantly configurable, meaning you can add and delete, if there were spam or, irrelevant, erroneous conversation, and then add your own picks. So if it's around a particular topic or subject, you can take this crowdsourced list of resources and then add others that you think are good for that particular collection if you want to have that topic in one place.
Awesome. Yeah, one of the things I really love about using Participate is that automated feature that as a moderator, I don't need to find the time within the next, few hours to go on Storify and do that, sort of archive work that Participate takes care of that for me. And I like that you can delete stuff. And, can you briefly touch on just how you go about making improvements to Participate? Because I know that was one of our first interactions, and I'll know if you remember that, but it was just an email exchange where you were sending out emails saying, "What do you think of Participate so far?" And I gave some feedback, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember the next time I was on Participate, it looked different. And so, if you just talk about, do you have a really user-centered design approach? What is your sort of iterative process with just making Participate chats what it needs to be for users?
Sure, and that's also the Participate, now part of the VIF family. Julie, myself, like I don't take we don't take the energy and the generosity from educators, folks on the platform that are willing to take the time to tell us how we can be better. That's more, it's kind of our obligation to listen to that and harness that intelligence. And we can't, I don't want to create the expectation that we could respond to every request in real time like that. But really what we've developed is an accumulation of all of these, like the fact that we're doing chats is based on input from having direct hangouts and conversations from other educators. So it's extremely important that we always have dialogue with users on the platform, users on Twitter, anyone interested in connected education and what we like to call collaborative professional development.
And I think that might be a great kind of transition to talk about in the spirit of connective learning and professional development. Just what is Participate really beyond the chats? That if folks don't go to participate.com/chats and just go to participate.com to the Participate Learning portal, what are they going to find, Julie?
So, the most exciting part of this new collaboration, VIF sort of joined with Participate, I guess now back in April, right, Brad? So there's been this amazing 6 months of development where the online courses that we had been providing with open badging, and that's how I've become involved really closely with the badging community around global education, ESL, core content, and connected learning, became kind of married with the Participate platform. And so the Participate platform has remarkable affordances, both with the Twitter chats and also with the ability to make collaborative sections. And I may switch back to Brad for him to do a quick tour of that. But the idea of the online courses, and I can sort of show what that looks like now on Participate, and this was just launched in September, and we have about 5,000 teachers now taking online courses with us. You can get badges, you can see your courses. We have a wide variety of courses and online courses in the platform across a range of disciplines. And so now what we're doing is looking at what these courses offer and trying to integrate that now with the affordances in the Participate platform. So we're starting to already bring the development team into, instead of doing a joint community discussion, which is fantastic, looks like this, how do we now integrate the Twitter chats? How do we bring in this vibrant community of educators that are driven by their own basically by their own interests, by their personalized learning interests, and how to connect that sometimes with more formal courses that we work with them to provide, if that makes sense. So how do you sort of bring together the informal and the formal and really have a robust badging system to allow teachers to demonstrate both of those learnings? Because I think when Brad and I were together at ISTE, and when I saw you, I just met, and I've said this over and over, I've met too many teachers who were jumping out of the classroom because all of the stuff, all of the incredible work they do on Twitter chats weren't recognized. So Brad is working also with some other professional development content folks to think about how can we badge ed camps? How can we badge Twitter chats so that you can start to bring some of the more homegrown professional development that teachers are designing on their own and have more, use the sort of affordance of badges to demonstrate that learning.
I kind of hear you saying two things I want to dive just a little bit deeper to in our brief amount of time that we have left here. And that's one, that you're going really something like we talked about how the Participate chats are differentiated from just twitter.com or TweetDeck or a similar tool, that, in your recognition of professional development, it sounds almost like you're differentiating it by really looking at metrics beyond seat time, and that informal learning is what's being recognized. And then, the sort of follow-up point that I'd love you to kind of expand upon there is when you talk about badging it, a lot of people have a wide range of ideas of what a badge means. I kind of hear you describing that as credential, that this is about credentialing the learning that happens. So maybe correct me or dive a little bit deeper into just these informal recognitions and why a teacher would be excited about that.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I think, is also starting to get to know me a little well. I love to play both sides a little bit sometimes. So there's parts of the micro-credentialing field, the digital promise, what's happening on Bloomboard and other platforms that we are familiar with, which are very useful. And also the badging community that I sort of grew up with a little bit back in 2009, that grew out of the informal learning space, that really grew out of kids learning. And how can we sort of bring those and marry those together? Because sometimes you need one, sometimes you want the other. And providing opportunities for teachers to display competencies that are not necessarily a workshop that the school provided for them, but something that they developed on their own through Badge Chat K-12, or through their experiences on a tweet chat through LangChat, or the fact that they have facilitated those conversations, because some of them do want to demonstrate those in more formal ways, and to have that really recognized by their school district as meaningful professional learning. How can we give sort of avenues for teachers to sort of present that as meaningful learning, as opposed to learning that is sort of dictated to them and based on seat time? So I think it's a lot about, we're really kind of trying to drive this connected learning, which is very much always talked about around kids, but not enough around teachers. So teachers learning doesn't happen, kids learning doesn't happen between 9 and 3, and teacher learning doesn't happen on a Saturday workshop in the middle of the summer. It happens all the time in all types of experiences, and we want teachers to decide what's just informal learning. I have my tribe on this chat, and that's good. And what do I want to actually present for either a badge to get credit or a micro-credential? And really just giving teachers as much tools as possible to decide what learning they want to present as part of their professional pathway. Does that answer that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is, and really, I think why this is resonating with so many folks in the, PLN and online learning communities of just professionals trying to make themselves better. I think that the reason it resonates is just, we aren't used to being recognized for this learning. And other than me listing it on a resume or say, I participate in chats, that this all of a sudden is a way to really recognize that. And I can see places where I saw the example you showed up was for world language teachers with comprehensible input. And, what a great sort of learning that's been acknowledged the teacher can then share when she's applying for a new job as a language teacher.
Right. And then when we came, and then sort of my collaboration with Brad has really made me rethink that module. Okay, so we had instructional designers, people who had been teachers, incredible thinkers in the field, but I want teachers even inside that module to kind of even hit back at us a little bit. It was like, well, look at what I just did on LangChat. Here is my demonstration of my learning, taking something that's more formal learning in a course and then also be able to present their own expertise. So I think a lot of it is about finally kind of acknowledging teachers' professional expertise, the amount that they already know and that they don't need to be told, but sometimes they need resources they may not have seen or a community of people they may not have access to in their physical school building.
That is really awesome. I think sort of like you alluded to, that we are all of a sudden giving teachers an opportunity to experience the connected and personalized learning that they're, hopefully delivering to their students. They all of a sudden are finally having avenues to experience that themselves. One final question, just to make sure, that the kind of asking price for a teacher, other than their time here, is
to participate in a chat, to find resources, to curate research, like everything that we've just discussed is free to teachers. Now there are courses that currently on the site that schools and districts pay for the opportunity to do. But in terms of all the chat behavior, curation, discovery, by design, all of that is free.
And I think that's a price that a lot of teachers really are a fan of, especially when they're getting a whole lot more than what they're paying for it. It sounds like in this case. Yeah. He is Brad Spearson. She is Julie Keed of Participate Learning. Thank you so much for joining me this week.
Yeah, anytime. It was fun.
I'm Noah Geisel, and I'm at Senior G on the Twitter. And thank you so much for joining, and hopefully we'll see you on a Participate chat real soon. Bye-bye.